Santa Anita is back. So is the In the Money Media YouTube channel, PTF and JK, with you to talk about a very exciting new bet. I'm going to say hello to everybody who's listening on the In the Money Players podcast feed, who's watching on the In the Money Media YouTube channel, who is watching this as we stream it live, day of, on Santa Anita channels, on Gulfstream channels, on In the Money channels. Thank you for being here with us. We appreciate it. And got to say, in the modern game, the number one thing to me, even more important than Takeout, and Takeout's really important, and we got you covered as far as that goes on these bets, but even more important than Takeout these days to me, game selection, trying to pick the right spots to be in. One thing I love about this new Sunset 6, JK, that we're going to be covering on these shows is the fact that you're going to have a real opportunity between the nature of this Sunset 6 bet, which unites the last three races at Gulfstream with the last three at Santa Anita every day of this fall meet. But then also, this is an opportunity on the Santa Anita side, that late pick three with the $3 minimum, the late double. We're getting to talk about all these bets where, in my experience, these are the rare wagers that are paying more than they should. Some of it is the lower takeout. This $3 pick three, for example, at Santa Anita, 15% takeout, as well as the $3 minimum. But I think there's something about who's playing. The pools are big and the payouts have been good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that those larger base wagers, base amounts, we've been talking about that since we were doing the coast to coast. We've been doing it since the Stronach 5. We've been talking about that base wager. I know some people might not think that it's player friendly, but it's the most player friendly thing you can do because it makes it harder on the computers to take all of the equity out of the pool with picking up all of the efficiency that's allowed with small denominations. So I love these ideas. I also like the idea of being able to combine cool races. The idea that, I can already see it in my head, like on a Fountain of Youth day, you get the steak from Santa. You also get the Fountain of Youth into one wager. I love those ideas.
We want this to succeed, and so we will continue. I don't know how far we're committed to have this bet, at least through this meet, hopefully well beyond when it comes to the pick six, the Sunset 6. As I said, final three from Gulf, final three from Santa, dollar minimum, 15% takeout, no consos, so it'll pay more based on that, and there is a carryover feature as well. So lots of good opportunities on this one. I'm glad you mentioned the coast to coast too, because we are doing some expanded coverage of that wager as well. Nick Tamaro going to be covering those races each day over at inthemoneypodcast.com. That's picks and analysis from one of the sharpest guys in the game for free. So make sure you check that out, inthemoneypodcast.com. Still going to be supporting the coast-to-coast bet as well. But for now, we're going to dive in to this inaugural Sunset 6. It kicks off with race number 7 at Gulfstream Park on this Friday, September 26th. We've got some bread and butter stuff here. Non-winners of 2 lifetime at the $8,000 level. JK, how do you want to light this candle?
Yeah, I'm going to start with a single. Start off my Sunset 6 relationship with a single, and that's the one Patty's Gift down on the inside. This horse ran much better than everyone else's run in their last race. The other thing is you got speed down on the inside. I like that when I have the best horse in the race because I think it takes a little bit of the guessing away from the rider. You got to send away from there and hold that position. The other thing is I think, this horse, since switching hands, since the barn change, tried the synthetic for maiden 35, didn't run bad, then got into maiden 12 company where I think probably is a little bit more friendly. And then started running better. If you look back to the past odds, horse was 7-1, 3-1, 43-1, 25-1. That's why the horse wasn't running good. Horse was missing his friends. Patty's Gift has his friends now, and I think that he'll be tough to beat. She will, down on the inside. Ice cold single to get started with the Sunset 6.
I wasn't as confident as you. I had Patty's Gift in the mix. I also had JJ Monet, who on pace figures I thought might be able to give the one a bit of a tussle in here. I don't see any other speed beyond those two. So they may just turn this thing into a match. But if they do end up going unexpectedly fast, I thought that the 5 eyes on Michael could be the one to benefit. This one was very flat last time when beaten by JJ Monet, but Michael was 3-5 in there, and on the body of work, I thought could maybe turn the tables. I had it 7-1-5. JK taking a much bolder stand with the 1 to kick things off here at Gulfstream. Let's move to Gulfstream's 8th race. We've got stakes action on the Friday in the form of the Hallandale Beach Stakes going a mile. I liked a couple of runners in here. I'll start by talking about the 6, Vita Mia, who I thought had a significant edge on figures. Yes, that was a very easy trip on the lead last time and going to have to deal with other speed, but drawn outside with the way this horse got faster. She got faster through the race last time, uplined, as our friends, the Matisse brothers, like to say. I didn't think she'd have an issue stalking if need be. The 5 Willow Case, the other one that looked pretty obvious to me, stakes winner and a reasonable alternative. I guess I was just worried she might be overbet compared to Vita Mia, but has already shown that ability to stalk and pounce, and that could be the winning trip, especially if the top one doesn't settle and instead hooks up with a runner like Tessellate in here. I had it 6 and 5. How do you see it?
Yeah, I got to have 3, 5, and 6. I share your sentiments with the 5 and the 6, and then they're drawn well. They both have tactical speed. Remember, these are lightly raced 2-year-olds, right? We don't fully know who they are. And neither of these 3 have really jumped up and grabbed me in a way where I feel like I have no choice. I need the 2 outside horses, but I also want to use a 3 Tessellate, who seems to be working well. Of course, took money on debut and ran extremely well. Has had a couple of horses that have come back and run well out of that race. 2 wins, 3 seconds, and 2/3 out of that debut race. Then comes back and runs well enough running into the 5 Willow Case, who's always in here. To me, this is one of those situations that whoever gets the best trip between the 3, 5, and the 6, one of them is going to win. I have a single in the first leg. I'm going to just try to survive this race. I don't have a strong opinion.
We close out the Gulfstream portion of this Sunset 6 on Friday, Santa Anita opening day for the autumn meet, with a maiden claimer over at Gulf. This is 2-year-olds. We're going the mile. What do you like as we continue the sequence, my friend?
Yeah, the 7 and the 8 are obvious uses here for me. I'll use both of those as A's. I'll also use the 3, and the 3 will kind of be my top pick. So a horse that took money on debut, doing something completely different than they're doing today. So there was something about this horse they thought they were going to run well. But the synthetic, the short distance, that didn't really necessarily add up. Now we're moving to the grass. We're going longer. We're adding blinkers. We're making a lot of changes to a horse that took some money. Obviously, there's a little bit of something there. That'll be my top choice, but I'll use the 3, 7, and 8 as A's. I'll use the 2 and the 6 as B's. Like I said, horses that have only run one time at this level, anything can kind of happen. They can kind of jump up. I want to make sure that I'm alive going into Santa Anita. I want to have the 2 and the 6 as backups, but 3, 7, 8 is A's.
I've been spready enough so far that I was going to try to get skinny here. I really like Caholo, the 8 runner, getting the drop I think he probably needs after running fast early last time against Better. There's just a lot of exposed form in this race, and I thought Caholo, the 8, looked like the best speed by some way. I'm going to take another long look at some of the ones you mentioned, JK, and maybe at least work your other A's in here as backups where I can. But I definitely wanted most of the money running through the 8 as we move from one coast to the other. Take one of the longest flights in the continental United States from Miami out to LAX, and we resume talking about the 7th race at Santa Anita. I should have given you the start times of these wagers. 4:05 is the start time of that 7th race at Gulfstream. By the time this 7th at Santa goes, it'll be a few hours later. You can have your dinner break in between because you've got 7 o'clock, the scheduled post time for this optional claimer, non-winners of 1 allowance for state breds, going 6 furlongs on the turf on the main track. JK will keep the analysis with you.
Yeah, well, coast to coast there. I ended Gulfstream with a slam dunk racing horse as a pick, and then we're going to start it at Santa Anita with the 4 Magical Miss for Richie Baltus. When it comes to these turf sprints, I'm always in look for horses that are going to be forward, horses that I think that can work out a nice trip. And Magical Miss showed some speed on debut. Wasn't as quick away from there last time, but also lost a lot of ground in that race. So I want to have that one. I want to have the 6 Willow Cove for Mike Pipey, who has some speed. You
That's
look at
the
that
7,
debut.
JK, just for those taking notes as they go, are in the Money Plus people. We will send around notes, a digest of the picks from all these shows in the moneypodcast.com/plus. But yeah, Willow Cove is the 7.
How did someone scratch?
Yes, the 5 is out, which also means Lady Gregory draws in. I was going to get to that when I did my
okay,
state.
good. Okay, yeah. That's they do that in Santa Anita. They early scratch horses.
Yes.
Okay.
You got put
Sorry.
away there. That's all
The
right.
7 Willow Cove, who had some speed, showed some speed, and the first 2 dirt starts, and then last time I thought ran well enough. Didn't run a blazing fast number, but got a good number getting to the grass. And then the 9 Lady Gregory, who draws in, another one that I want to make sure I have. She's got some good dirt races, but if you kind of cherry pick her turf races out of there, man, she's right there in the mix.
Yeah.
For one, and she's drawn well too. I love outside tactical horses in turf sprints because they don't get stopped. They might lose a little bit of ground, but I'm fine with them losing ground. I don't want them getting stopped because in a turf sprint, to me, there's not enough time to then make up another run in order to kind of make up for the trouble you might find yourself in. So Lady Gregory, I'll definitely use as well. So 4, 7, and 9.
Yeah, Lady Gregory, the 9, drawing in. Probably bad news for the rest of the field. As you pointed out, getting back to the best surface. Loves it around here. I just thought had an edge on Figs and Form and should get a good trip. I did want to use Willow Cove as a B, one that has the chance to be the best speed here in a turf sprint. Coming off a long layoff, but appears to be working well. It's interesting because Mike Pipey actually, when you pull the numbers for the last 5 years, he doesn't have great stats with long layoff types, but I know I've seen him win with these kind of runners from time to time. I'm not going to leave out Willow Cove. 9, mostly 9, little 7 for me. 4, 7, and 9 for JK as we move to the hinge of the late pick 3. I plugged the late pick 3 before, but I just want to mention again, that also starts in race 7, $3 minimum, 15% takeout. And then with this 8th race, you have the opportunity for the special late double with its $5 minimum and 15% takeout. Another bet. Again, I've just seen it time and time again. It pays more significantly. It's supposed to pay more than the parlay because the way takeout works, but significantly more than what you'd expect. These are good pools to get involved in. $10,000 claimers for 3 and up going a mile in this one. I liked Mystic Flyer the best. The 3 runner looks very dangerous to me on the big drop. McCarthy has great numbers off these kind of year plus layoffs. Not a huge sample, but 4 for 20 with a positive ROI, 50% in the money over the last 5 years. Mystic Flyer just fits the bill here. And the 2 Austonian I thought was interesting. Trying to close last time on a speed favoring day. The winner there, Money Run, came back to repeat on a jump up in class. And I thought Austonian had the chance to be the best late. 3 and 2 for me. What are your numbers?
Yeah, I'm ice cold with the 3. I mean, Mystic Flyers, the numbers are just so much better. Some people will say the long layoff and then the drop, but where else are they supposed to run? Right. The last time the horse won, they won for 25. What do you just be realistic? And I think Michael McCarthy is realistic. And he's one of those trainers that I trust with a move like this. There's certain people's names that might show up that I wouldn't feel great about, but with Michael, I don't have any problem with this horse. If this horse runs a third, 2/3 of the races that they ran early in 2024, this horse is gone.
Yeah, I'll pull out an old chestnut actually for this. Great book, Modern Pace Handicapping by Tom Brohammer. I think this is where this one comes from. And it's interesting. That book has a whole chapter on negative class drops. But the thing, I think it's a chestnut from that book I remember. If not, it's just from my time around the game. It's almost like the more successful horses a trainer has in their barn, the less you worry about a drop like this. You know what I mean? If you're more of somebody at a lower profile and a claiming horse that wins races could be considered your stable star almost, you don't want to see that horse dropping. But when you've got Michael McCarthy's stock, you got to kind of put them where they belong and move them on and move them out. And I'm not going to think for a second that's a negative class drop in this case. I wanted a little backup just because I saw the case to be made for the 2. But yeah, I think you can press up that 3 in a strong way. We close out the Santa Anita card with a maiden filly $50,000 claimer. We're going a mile on the turf. When it comes to this first ever Sunset 6, JK, how are we going to get paid?
Yeah, I need 3 horses in here. I'll use the 2, 4, and the 7. The 2 rehearsal was one that, drawn inside. You get Umberto. I wish I had maybe just a sliver more tactical speed, but should be able to work out a little bit of a trip. Kind of got an inside pocket trip last time. I project probably get a similar trip this time. Hopefully can be a little bit closer. The 4, Wildfire Princess, takes the blinkers off. A horse that's been turf sprinting. I don't typically like turf sprinters that are taking the blinkers off and stretching out, because to me, you're taking the blinkers off trying to solve something. But this horse is drawn inside, and I do like my turf sprinters stretching out, drawn inside, because they can get to the rail. Typically, they're tactical enough to get to that inside position. Then they're also going to get cover. So they're going to save ground into the turn because they're tactical enough to get inside. Then they're going to get cover, so they're going to be able to follow a horse around there that can maybe prevent them from being rank. So I wanted to have the 4, Wildfire Princess, and then the 7, Infinity Dream. Another one takes the blinkers off for Richie Baltas. I hate the outside draw for turf sprinters, but in this race, these were the 3 best horses, and I wanted to make sure I was alive to them.
That's interesting. So when you say we had an instance earlier where you like the outside draw for a turf sprinter, here you don't. What's the difference?
No, I don't like the outside draw for a turf sprinter stretching out.
Oh, for stretching out. And this is a 2-turn race anyway, so it was a bad question.
Yeah, sorry. No, that was it was also, I think I probably said that wrong. Yeah, okay. Because the idea just, the opposite of what I said about an inside draw is that they're going to be in the clear. So if they're going to run off, they're going to be rank. There's not going to be anything in front of them. They're going to likely lose ground. So if the distance is a problem, then geometry is going to get to them. So there's a couple of things that can go wrong with stretch outs drawn outside.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
I can't leave this horse off, but it's one of those situations. If they were drawn inside, maybe I'd feel a little bit more confident.
It's a tricky little race, I think, because you have 3 and I have 3, and only one is the same. I put Thea, the 1, on top. Looks a bit exposed, but I just like the fact that she showed more speed last time and still an improved number overall. The 2, Rehearsal, also exposed, but I thought both maiden claiming efforts were a little bit better than they looked. Maybe moved a little inefficiently into a fast pace last time. 2 Back struggled, closing into a slow pace. I was going to put that one on the one more try list. And then Sakil, the 8, plenty of back races, and the recent works look good. This is a tricky one in terms of structure. It could get expensive, so I'm going to probably try to do some magic with A's and B's and include most of the horses that we both talked about. Well, that's one way I love to use these shows, Jonathan. I'll sort of use my opinions as presses, and then where I can back up with any of your ideas I don't have, I'll try to squeeze them onto the ticket. But I'm really excited about supporting this bet and definitely going to be getting involved on Friday. We're going to have shows this week for Saturday and Sunday. We're not covering every day of the Sunset 6. I think the other weeks it's going to be Saturdays at least. But this opening weekend, we're going big. We're going to be streaming live 2 p.m. Pacific on Santa Anita social channels, and I think they're YouTube as well. Make sure you subscribe to the Santa Anita and Gulfstream socials and YouTube channels. While you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to the In the Money Media social channels and especially the YouTube. We appreciate having you here. JK, let's do it again in short order. Appreciate having everybody here. This has been a production of In the Money Media and Santa Anita /Gulfstream/First. May you win all your photos.